mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. And guess what, everyone? Your favorite uncle is in the building today. He is your favorite uncle. He hosts the bonfire of my soul. He brings me warmth and love and all the good feels. It's Mark Walberg, the host of Temptation Island, and I'm so happy.
I'm so glad to be like the uncle to the family instead of the great grandfather. So this is
an
upgrade for me.
Listen here, Mark. I'm like, I knew you were gonna be like, is it the grandpa? No, uncle.
No, uncle. I'm
you
down.
are the uncle.
I love it when I've got crew members that call me Unc on the show.
Your Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
Listen, one of our dads had a hookup a long time ago. And then, you're the uncle. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
we just found out about it. And it's like a whole thing now.
I mean, I wish you were my real uncle.
Let's just say it is.
No offense to my biological uncle.
In addition to your biological
another uncle.
Yeah,
that would be. So crew members are always like, they're calling you uncle.
Well, in Hawaii, uncle and auntie are terms of endearment.
Yes. Okay.
But I get a lot of comments on socials that just like, yo, Unc.
Right.
And
I love
I'm like,
that.
what's up, nephew?
Speaking of socials, before you got here, I happened to get some DMs from some listeners. And then also it came up in my algorithm that your wonderful daughter posted videos of you dancing beautifully over the years, saying, Dancing with the Stars, please get my dad, host of Temptation Island, on Dancing with the Stars. And now it's going to be all I can think of, and it's all I need and want.
So let me just clarify. This was an unauthorized posting.
Unauthorized.
My
Mark,
daughter.
I know you launched this and sent her the video.
The whole thing is AI.
Mark
by the way.
stitched it. He stitched it all together.
Spent 2 weeks
These
on
are
it.
what this is a conglomeration. Or my daughter was a professional ballet dancer.
Okay.
And so when we were in Kansas City visiting her and we're in the grocery store, I broke into dance, and that's in the clip. And then I did other dance, and I marked the turns, like dancers do. And it was all for her, to make her laugh. And then without telling me, she put it together in a TikTok, and now everybody's seen it, and I'm absolutely cringing.
No, this is what the best of daughters do, because we need you on Dancing with the Stars. Yeah. Also, she posted a video then of you two. You're doing lifts with her and her ballet. Mark, you sell yourself short with your dancing abilities. You get a coach in there, please.
Listen, you can't be married to my wife and father to my daughter and not learn some skills. True. Just by osmosis of how much money I spent on her training.
Yes, just the money alone. You're gonna get
that alone, you learn a tour jeté.
See, this is what I'm waiting for with Evan, because, we're deep in music. This is a musical theater household now. So all I want is for Evan to all of a sudden just get that itch in a few years, be like, I might audition for a musical theater production.
What's going to happen is Ember's going to she's going to get booked for a duet like You Are 16.
Yes.
When she comes home to rehearse at home, you're going to have to do the other part.
Yes.
And then you'll get the bug.
You're going to get the bug. I want to hear you singing something. I want a Jean Valjean moment from you. I need a Les Mis moment from you.
Isn't it kind of just the universal balance thing where it's like, if we're all doing it, it's too much?
Somebody has to be audience.
You know what I mean? Like someone has to balance it out.
Not in this
all
house.
three of us trying to be stars would be a little much.
I think you're right.
You know what I mean? Someone has to sit there and just go.
See, well, and that was what I thought my role was. I thought I was spoofing, supporting with comedy.
Yeah.
And then she decided to put me on blast.
Wow.
So now I'm stretching out, and I've got the leg warmers out of the closet.
I will be waiting with bated breath.
Yeah.
As well. So, listen, family, if you want to hop on that TikTok and start tagging everybody from Dancing with the Stars, if not this season, next.
Yeah.
Start the campaign.
Yeah. This is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
It's going to be perfect.
It's going to be so bad.
They're going to have you do your first dance. It will be around a fire. It's going to be like they're going to theme it.
Forget about
Maybe they'll use the original Temptation Island song.
That's it.
Gonna tempt me. You'll be spinning around the fire. Come on.
I can't do it simply because of the costumes. I can't wear
You're going to look so great.
I'm thinking like Benson Boone energy, you know, like real cut low.
Yes.
One piece.
Bell
That's right.
bottoms.
I'll do a back tuck off the piano or
You know what
something.
I'm saying?
I know this is what's going to happen.
That's what. I see
I'm
this in my
seeing
future.
this.
Mark, I'm so happy that you're here with us today.
I love being here with you guys.
We love you so much. And my daughter was so excited to meet you. She finally got to meet you. She was like waiting. She's like, oh my gosh, Mark gets to come and I get to meet him.
I kind of fangirled a little hard.
You were so
I'm pretty
sweet.
excited to meet her.
She could not wait.
And she literally greeted me like a celebrity when they come out of the stage door.
Oh, it's so good to see
it's
you.
so good to see you.
So nice to
Yeah,
see
great.
Who should I
you.
make it out to?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you like
She
the
signed
show?
his hand.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like, whoa, okay.
Speaking of that, do you often, okay, so family, please, you know who this is. It's Mark Walberg. He's our favorite host of all time, Temptation Island. We
it's
just
not even a question.
binged the series. It was so fantastic. My jaw was on the floor during the final bonfire. Do you have people coming up to you in real life asking relationship advice questions?
Yeah, of course.
Because you know what, Mark? I fear that if I didn't know you and I saw you IRL, I'd be like, I gotta just ask one quick thing.
I get some DMs.
Okay.
For sure.
I get an unusual amount of people asking me to officiate their wedding,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
which I'm kind of down because I love a good wedding.
I was gonna say that's kind of a great
I did
side
one.
gig.
I went to Boston because my daughter lives in Boston, and I got this couple who I didn't know, but they watched the show and they're like, "Would you officiate?" And I'm like, "Will you fly me to Boston?" They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I'll do it." And
That's
so I
amazing.
did one.
That's a great gig.
It was kind of fun, but yeah, I get a lot of DMs, and then people IRL like
yeah.
extended family members or friends and stuff. They're like, "Can I just run this by you?" And I'm like, again, I'm just a game show host, but sure, down to talk about it. Yeah, I'm very honored when recently there have been some people that are actually trained therapists. Like I was on Dr. Laura Berman's podcast, and I was
Right.
really uptight because when she booked me, I thought it was so that she could say, "Look, you know what? You've overstepped."
You're
I
not.
thought she was
You're
gonna
not
put
a
me in my place.
therapist.
Stepping in our world. Yeah.
So that's what really hits different for me is that people who are trained clinically tell me that I'm not screwing up.
It's
Oh, that's
huge.
nice.
And I'm very quick to say, look, I hold you guys in such high esteem, and I'm really conscious of hopefully saying things that at the very least are not toxic.
Right,
At
right,
the very
right.
least are not exactly opposite of what you should be doing.
Did you ever consider getting your license in therapy?
Every season after the show, I look up what it would take to do it, and I get really excited. And then I've got 2 semesters of college,
Yeah.
so before I could even get there, I'd have to do like 3 years of undergrad, like math.
It's so much.
And so I'm like,
You gotta do you're like, is there kind of like the 1-year program?
that's what I said. It was like, hey, have you seen the show? Because I should get credits.
Have you
Honorary
seen
degree a little bit, maybe?
I don't even need a degree. Is there like some certificate for
For
counseling?
skipping like the intro to rock and roll or whatever
Just
they
show
do.
them
you know?
a reel of all the final bonfires and be like, thoughts on this?
Yeah,
Am I able?
How many credits is this worth?
Yes.
Can you just jump me up in the line a little bit?
Exactly. No, it's so funny because I saw when I Googled your name at one point, one of the first things that pops up in the search bar is Mark Walberg therapist. Everyone, we
Of
all
course.
are like, you're our therapist.
I kind of lost it with USA Network at one point because this is before we got upgraded to Netflix. Love you.
like,
USA who? What?
Right.
But I had to do this radio press tour. I'm doing several radio stations, and they send out like a blurb to the radio people who may not know who you are,
Yeah.
just to say this is who you're interviewing next. And what they wrote was Mark Walberg, relationship expert who hosts Temptation Island. I'm like, this is really inappropriate. This is not how this is at all.
you're like, wait a second. I don't know. I mean, we would consider you a relationship
Thank you.
expert.
Look, I've said it a million times. I did this show. I've done this show since 2001 with a big break in the middle. It was never my intention to be that guy.
Yeah.
It was my intention to try to instill in this crazy reality show anything authentic. And I thought that if I were to be authentic, the people that you want to see on TV would be authentic, and then you cut me out. of the show. Like, you don't need me as part of the content, but if it gets them to a place where they're vulnerable and talking about real stuff, that's what made sense to me.
Right.
And then when it got on USA as the reboot and it started to go, they were like doing more of that thing. And I'm like, what thing? What thing are you? I'm just trying to make a TV show.
Like you being you.
And then I kind of at one point said, look, all right, I'll just lean in and you guys will figure it out. You can edit it and figure it out. I'm just going to be with these people and meet them where they are and do my best with that. And it's been, I mean, I constantly tell people, we're constantly searching for what's your purpose, because we feel like we're searching for what's our purpose. And I think in our tiny human minds, we put that purposeful version of us in a certain flower pot. It can only be here. It's a panel show, or it's, Oprah, or it's, like a workshop, seminar, retreat thing.
Right.
It's not a salacious dating show.
Sure.
And the lesson I've learned is you don't get to pick that part.
Yeah.
You get thrown in places that may look entirely opposite of where you thought your purpose would be showing up. And now I'm in this place. It's like, I always tell people, Temptation Island looks like porn, feels like Oprah.
Yeah.
It was not my plan.
Family. We had to pop in quick for 2 reasons, okay? Number 1, we had to just take a moment before we dive into this conversation to let you know, please tune in to our Friday episode, because on our Friday episode, your father and I will be announcing what we will be doing next. And I think you all will be pretty excited. We're very excited. I think you all will be very excited. Something's coming up that we're going to recap. So stay tuned. Friday's episode.
Yes.
That's the one I'm looking for.
Yes. Friday's episode.
Tune in on Friday for this information. We cannot wait. We'll chat about it then. But in the meantime, we got to take a quick pause, family, because before we dive into this incredible conversation with Mark, where we chat about Temptation Island, but of course, we also go very deep. Let's chat about a company that Evan and I recently discovered that has been amazing. If you're 21 plus and looking for natural remedies crafted to inspire, relax, and rejuvenate your daily routine, may I suggest Minnesota Nice. Minnesota Nice is a trusted source for natural plant medicines, especially Amanita muscaria, helping people find calm and healing. This is a legal mushroom to buy, possess, and sell in every state except for Louisiana, and thousands of people are using it who are looking to get off benzos and alcohol. These plants and fungi are not magic bullets. Recovery obviously requires a broader matrix of support, but they're a valuable tool to help with relaxation and healing. Amanita muscaria has been used for centuries in traditional practices, offering a time-tested way to find calm. But for years, there was a massive gap in the market where no one in the United States was reliably importing these mushrooms. That's where Minnesota Nice comes in with natural plant medicines like Amanita muscaria. They also sell a lot more than that, like Blue Lotus gummies. I personally love their reishi for sleep and much more.
Yeah, their founder, Christian Rasmussen, actually used Amanita muscaria to overcome benzo withdrawal, and that's what inspired the company's mission. They're the #1 supplier of Amanita in the U.S., trusted by over 25,000 people, with a lineup that goes way beyond Amanita. And Minnesota Nice is about education, not just sales, offering dosing guides, where we recommend that people check out their informational content on their website about that, and a community where users can share their journeys.
Minnesota Nice offers high-quality products, and the pricing is really accessible. Minnesota Nice wants to help you find your calm. Go to mn-nice-ethnobotanicals.com/mom-and-dad and use code MOM-AND-DAD22 for 22% off your first order. That's mn-nice-ethnobotanicals.com/mom-and-dad, code MOM-AND-DAD22. Much love. All right, family, let's get back into it. And the combination of that is what just makes it what hits home.
But
so
I think
beautifully.
that's kind of like that's the whole like legacy thing versus like a lot of these shows, right? Whether it's a dating show, a reality show, whatever, a lot of the hosting can be very corporate feeling, where it's just like you could swap their bodies. welcome back and da-da-da and da-da-da and da-da-da, da-da-da. It's like very like, even the way they talk is unnatural. But then you have like, when I think back on like Deal or No Deal, which is just a very like classic show where it's like they're doing a deal, but Howie Mandel brought like his own personality.
He was
to
being
the
Howie,
thing, right? And then you're like, oh, this is now an iconic legacy show because the guy made it more than just a simple hosting gig. It might have would have lasted a season or two and been done. And I think like that's what you're doing is like,
your legacy.
you're bringing authenticity. And I think we're so used to a corporate thing, so when there is authenticity, it feels bizarre. It's like, oh, what is this thing? Like,
this is an interesting point you get to, and to defend my colleagues who are on shows, because there were articles that came out and said, Walberg does this and these guys suck.
Right.
And I'm like, no, let's take it down a notch.
Did we write that?
Maybe
we might have said that. For sure.
I think I sent you a copy. Said, do you mind signing this?
Yeah.
I think we definitely
But I think it's important to note that the other shows that we're referring to, that's not the job is what they're doing. It's not,
of course,
they're not asked to do more
you
than
did
that.
something different. Yes.
And my show had space for me to do something different. It wasn't like I created something. It was the bonfires were a thing.
Sure.
They were never written. They were never really produced. There was just this thing that happened organically. And so, I think if I were on some other show, I would probably read the prompter and hit those marks.
Sure.
And I'd do it in my style, and hopefully it would,
if you had a producer that's like, don't riff, stick to the thing. It's like, I get it. It's like,
then I'd quit.
Yeah, right.
Then
But,
I would be
I'm
somewhere
like,
else.
not down, dog. I'm out.
But speaking of the intimacy of it, so we were just on your podcast, which we had so much
Thank
fun.
you.
Everybody
Thank
check it out. We'll put the link to it in the episode notes. But we, on your podcast, briefly discussed that because that was one of mine and Evan's big questions, was when you go into these bonfires, have you been watching these couples throughout the week? Have you been watching these singles throughout the week? And you let us know that.
Not really. I don't. In all, transparency, the producing staff keeps in touch because it's a mammoth show with a hot sheet, like every third day or so. Here's where the couples are and what's going on. And I read that. So I have an idea of what if somebody hooked up, I know that probably happened.
Got it.
But I've chosen and been supported in choosing that I don't really watch the clips. I sometimes am told, like, he had a threesome.
Right.
So I'm like, oh shit, I got to deal with that. Right.
So now you have the threesome
But I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I really try to kind of not do any of that because I'm not really talking about what happened with them. I'm talking about you watch what you think happened and then you feel something. And what I'm trying to talk about is the bigger picture, that in relationship, these things are going down to, for instance, symptoms and toxicity that comes out of unhealthy relationships that you came to the island with.
Yeah.
So the conversation I'm constantly having is those details don't matter. What matters to me is, what story are you living in that has you create this relationship that has these byproducts? And how can we make some sort of quantum shift for you right now where you can start to begin to create a relationship like you two have, something that is, full contact, but emotionally intelligent and respectful and healthy. Right. And so I'm constantly saying to them, until you can define what that is, you can't have what that is. So it really doesn't matter to me what has been going on in your house or what drama you've created or not, because when they're separated, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
If he's going to act out, he's going to act out. What we can talk about is, how does that make you feel? What role might you have? What responsibility in being in a relationship that you have some ownership in, that you either acquiesced to or created and repeated behavior that has plagued you in the past by latching onto this relationship and thinking, I guess this is what I'm supposed to have.
Right.
And so I'm the one saying, and mostly to the girls, which has been pointed out to me recently a lot. This may have been how it has always been for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be that way. It just is a shift of thinking and awareness, and then you can invent a new way of being, and there's a possibility of being really happy.
Just the way that then you're not watching those clips, and like how you're saying it doesn't matter. I think, because we were joking with you, we're like, Evan and I, we would be it would be full scorched earth if we were hosts, which is we're not the hosts of this show, because it would just be so impossible not to let all my projections and my triggers. Do you ever have a situation where you're like, there's a contestant that really triggers me, and like, how do you deal with that?
Well, that's fluid.
Right.
And at any given moment, somebody might, it's not even so much triggered as, I guess this is triggered. An involuntary reaction would be to jump into judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Like
right.
when a girl says something about her boyfriend and I'm like, that's not cool. You know, that's hurtful. Mm-hmm. And I consciously make choices to not let my judgment or what shows up as judgment into the conversation. When the guys act out, I can say things like, look, you're saying one thing, but you're doing something else. What's that about? Right. As opposed to, dude, you said you're in love with her and you're banging this other chick. That's not cool.
Right.
See, that version is me. And I think that like that, what you just said is like, what I identify with is like, dude, you're banging her. How are you possibly saying you love her? But you say it in the previous version, which is this like eloquent, empathetic way.
But I'll tell you why.
I find it fascinating.
It's not that I don't feel this.
Yeah.
Like, you're a dick.
Right.
You just did that and now you're blaming her. It's called gaslighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But because I'm committed to everybody leaving the island in a better place.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I know that if I'm to do that, the audience will go, slay.
Sure.
Right.
Mark, I always want to try to work that
I love when you say slay.
But it would shut it down.
Sure.
Yeah.
It would shut down any possibility of conversation or
safety would go
trust.
away. Yeah.
So at that point, I'm an adversary. And I don't need to say the thing that we're all seeing. I need to say whatever I feel I need to say that's going to open a door of understanding. Mm-hmm. Because it does no good. Look, even the most egregious of the people we've had on the show who've done things are like, what the hell? I'll give you a perfect example. Maybe I shouldn't call names. Let's just say the people who were villains on the show sometimes, in their next relationship, figure it out. Mm. And so when you take judgment out of there and you let it be a safe space where even when you have transgressions or you do some crazy ass shit, but instead of me going, that's crazy ass shit, I can say, do you think that's crazy ass shit? What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you see the gap between what you're saying and what you're doing? Mm. And then it's a conversation, and there's possibility, as opposed to what most people are thrown to do in the human condition is we're either being dominated or we're submitting to domination. Yeah. And there's a payoff for us when we dominate somebody and tell them, you're a fucking dick. Then look at me. I won that domination. I beat you into submission and somehow I'm bigger. And all I've really done is create a king of the hill situation where the person who just had to submit to my dominance is going to need to avenge that. Mm. So it's going to be this constant battle as opposed to, I got no judgment for you. Let's talk about what is, and is this the choice you want?
Yeah. We were talking about that specifically during the conversation and the final dates with this last season with Yeaman and Taylor, how he found it so beautiful when Yeaman looked at her and was like, one of my favorite things about you is how soft and feminine you are.
As opposed to who she was presenting as through the whole show.
Right. And it was like, but then you saw them all of a sudden when she was sitting with Tyler, it was like she was in this place where she's stressed and agitated and hurting, but then someone else who's able to bring out where you feel safe or bring out that the allowance of that, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm able to lean into my feminine or I'm able to lean into my masculine and have that balance.
I could take I love that you picked up on that. It allowed her to take the risk of being, and feminine is, I get what you're saying, but it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right.
When either male or female, when we are soft, a better way of saying it is when we are open.
Right.
We are now a conduit, electric connection for intimacy with the danger of getting fucked up, right? Like really badly hurt. And so that's what partnership is, that somehow with Yeaman and her reflecting on how she wants things to be different, she felt safe enough to be soft and he was acknowledging that with her. and I think they're still kind of dating.
That's kind of what I
And I
saw,
love that
and
guy. I love him.
He seems wonderful.
Yeah,
big time.
When I was doing the research after and I saw that they were still chatting with
Yeah.
each other, I was like, oh, that makes me happy. But I thought it was such a powerful moment. And we were reflecting on that during the final bonfire, that she did leave alone, because that seemed like such a important journey, especially with both of your conversations together, with where she needed to have that moment for herself.
Space is always useful. And I get, and I've seen it, sometimes lightning strikes and you don't need space, you're in love, and you need to leave together, and it's going to go on like that. Hall and Michaela, when Hall was the evil guy of that season, when he broke off his engagement with Caitlin, right? And oh my God, you came to the island engaged, you fell in love with somebody else and broke it off before it was even final bonfire and hooked up with this other girl. Well, we had all kinds of judgment about that. They're still together and very happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a painful breakup. Caitlin took some hits. Hall had to really take hits from people making judgments on him. Caitlin is engaged and asked me to officiate her wedding.
Oh, I love that.
And so, and I've had her and her fiance on my podcast. He's a great guy. So you see that even when it hurts, it works out. And so it's stuff like Taylor and Yeaman. Taylor and Tyler together were not great.
Right.
Tyler seems really happy in this new relationship. He didn't particularly need so much space. Even when I said to him, maybe some space would be a good idea.
Right.
But they seem really cool. And Taylor and Yeaman are, I don't even know if they're a thing, but the pace at which they are a thing is slow, calculated, chill, without pressure. And the bottom line is when they're together, they're happier, it seems. Or that's what they've said to me. And let's just stay there in that moment.
Yeah.
And that should be enough for all of you. That's enough.
Yeah.
Until it's more.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like, because when I I feel like there's two kind of archetypes of the show. There is the one who like cheats and does the thing, and everyone's kind of like, whoa, right? Like this person came in here, they were with someone, and then a day later they're cheating. That's crazy. And then the other like kind of archetype I see is the person who gets cheated on and doesn't really isn't really coming to terms with it. They're kind of trying to either make excuses for them or make it their problem. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's the other ones that are just someone cheats and someone breaks up and they're done. But I'm talking about like the two sides of the wildness is like the person who doesn't see how toxic their partner is, and then the person who is toxic. Do you find when you're talking to either archetype, one is harder to penetrate when you're talking to them, or they equally as difficult in different ways? Or is it like you can I usually get through to that person, but this person's the real challenge?
In this exercise,
right in this exercise,
the cheater is easier for me.
Interesting.
Because the discussion is simply, let's talk about how you're able to compartmentalize your emotions.
Oh, interesting.
In other words, you got to understand that the people who come on the show may not have had a lot of therapy or done a lot of work or self-growth. So the stuff that I'm throwing out after my life of study and failure are primer level distinctions that kind of blow people's
new to them,
blow your mind. So when you point out obvious things like you cheated and it appeared that you did that and it was sex and there was no emotion. You weren't even connected to the fact that it was crushing someone else that you say to this moment you're in love with. And rather than saying, that's fucked up, you say, why are you able to do that? What happened in your past that has you so disassociated from this act of sex as anything intimate? A threesome in a shower with people you just met is not intimate. It probably is a lot of fun.
Right.
Type of the intimacy,
I assume.
Yeah.
Right.
But what I'm really looking at is, and it's much easier to access for me is, okay, so this was behavior, and it didn't seem to, it was a separate page, like a different book.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And that usually comes from, the basic stuff is usually comes from like, your mom wasn't there for you.
Right.
And so there's an anger and upset and a not a hatred, sometimes a hatred of women in general. And so that this sex thing is aggressive, it's dominating. I'm not saying anybody's abusing anybody.
Sure.
It's all consenting adults. But in general, that act is not a love act. It's a sex act. And it's sometimes an act of avenging what you didn't get from an intimacy standpoint that you desperately wanted when you were 7. And so the compartmentalizing of it that I can not justify but understand is I can get where you can do this and still sit with her and sob because you love her. I don't think that's such a leap to understand. If your toxic childhood had you separate intimacy from sex.
Right.
Okay. And it's not even about, sex is not about, making love is intimate with someone you love. But these hookups are often not intimate at all. They're for sport or, like I said, it comes from some other thing that, it makes you feel stronger and you're not taken advantage of. Nobody's going to hurt you if I take this. So that's easier. The other side of it is when you're the cheated on and they don't break up.
Right.
I have to wrestle with, how do I broach the subject about ego and that you're holding on so that you don't look like you've been had.
Oh, interesting.
Right? And I get that. And also, maybe your childhood had people doing stuff like this, was your model of what love looked like. Maybe your father was not so available to you. Maybe your father was around when he was around and loved you up, and then he was off for extended periods of time. And so you learned a pattern of what you thought a love relationship was. It's your only example of it. So how, I even said this to Breon, how could you possibly know what's acceptable in a relationship if no one has ever loved you in a way that was acceptable?
Yep.
And then that's where you have to make a choice to get therapy, to look inward, to ask yourself the questions, and to define, what do I really want? And what is this pain really about, so that you can make a change?
Okay, family, got to take a quick pause from this fantastic conversation with Mark Walberg. Speaking of Temptation Island, question is, are you going on a vacation this summer or hitting the beach? My beach bag always includes snacks, sunblock, extra sunglasses, goggles for Ember or Evan, and Liquid IV. Obviously, that must-have hydration that makes it easy, powered by Live Hydroscience. Babes, you know I always struggled staying hydrated. Well, Liquid IV makes it easy for me because it has an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration, 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks, and it's delicious. So I just drink it down. I guzzle it down happily. Visit liquidiv.com and stay fueled for a long day with sugar-free hydration featuring the new Raspberry Lemonade Hydration Multiplier. Get 20% off your first order with code MOMDAD at checkout.
They make it so easy with Liquid IV. All you have to do is take one of these little packets, tear, pour into about 16 ounces of water, stir, and boom, epic hydration. And because they make it so simple, we have Liquid IV packets with us everywhere. We keep them in our glove compartments, beach bags, gym bags, hockey bags, work bags, school bags, Jess's purse. I'm handing them out to my teammates. No big deal. Hydration is everywhere because of Liquid IV.
We've got it absolutely everywhere. And like I said, it's delicious, which makes it so wonderful to drink. True to fruit flavors that keep you hydrated. Find all your favorite hydration multiplier flavors on their website, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada, or choose from their line of sugar-free flavors like raspberry lemonade, white peach, and rainbow sherbet. I've always lived for the white peach flavor. It's so good, but I think my drink of the summer is going to have to be their new raspberry lemonade flavor. It's perfect. It's so delicious. And remember, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. It's simply the best. Ready up for a long day with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MOMDAD at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code MOMDAD at liquidiv.com. walberg.com. Okay, let's get back into it. Can I ask you? Oh,
Real
sorry.
quick, I just wanted to respond
I'm like,
really
Mark,
quickly.
no, me first.
But what I wanted to more like, this isn't even a question, but more of like what's so impressive about what you do is that like,
I can't.
but what for me is like really, really impressive is coming to these conclusions, having the advice, having the sage wisdom is obviously very impressive and comes from a lot of experience. But what I think is more like challenging / would be really frustrating for me is trying to do all of that in like 40 seconds. Or you know what I mean? How you have it's like, oh, you're dealing with like massive issues.
You have more.
You're dealing with like major problems and you're having to sit there and be like, I have a little bit of time to say one quick thing to you, and then I got to go back. We got to get to the next guy. Like, I don't know how you don't wax on for an hour. You know what I mean?
First of all,
like so hard.
First of all, I think you know me well enough to know that I do.
But I'm saying in this show, you can't to some extent, right? So it's like,
so that we're clear, when we do the bonfire, it's 4 separate interviews essentially.
Yeah.
We're all sitting together, and then 4 again.
Right.
When we switch. And each one can take 20 minutes. So it's not like on the show, it's like, oh, how do you feel about this clip? And they go, oh, he's an asshole. And I go, have you ever been loved by your father? And then they go to the next person. It was like, wow. But what
20
really
minutes
happens
is still impressive.
I mean,
I'd be
that's what I'm
like,
saying.
sometimes it's longer. You know, sometimes it takes us.
So
and
that'll allow you to get there. Okay, that's.
I actually had to say this, and in season 2, I went into the first bonfire really trying to be a good host in the sense of I'm not trying to overstep. I'm trying to give the producers what they want. At one point, I had heard a producer say, when I did something, he's like, "You host, I'll produce." Kind of checked me. Mm-hmm. So I pulled back, and then they pulled me off and said, "What are you doing? I need you to do that thing." And I'm like, "What thing?" And then we talked about it. And then I kind of got a little shitty because I was triggered. And I said, "Look, if you want me to do that thing, then I'm going to do it. And then you're going to have to fucking edit it and figure it out. And it's going to take as long as it takes. And I don't need to hear you in my ear going, where are you going with this? Because you'll have to fucking wait and find out where I'm going."
Right.
Sorry.
Well,
can you see the trigger?
No, but I love it. That makes sense though, because I'm thinking to myself, like, you're dealing with major issues here. Yeah. And like, I'm like, how do you possibly not spend an hour and a half? You know what I mean? It's like you're dealing with major stuff.
What you're hitting on, and this is why I love you, is that there's a need to make a television show.
Right.
And I'm not interested in that part.
See, I think that's what comes across in a really good way.
I see
That's
the
what we
weight of
smell,
what this
Mark.
discussion is.
Yeah.
And it's not light to me. It's not, we can't just move on. And there are times, I mean, last season when I showed up to talk to Taylor in the villa,
Yeah.
I asked they were bringing back Case. So there was some shtick that had to happen. We had to bring this guy back. And it was like, have we ever done this before? I'm like, no, but you can do whatever you want. It's Temptation Island. It's not Survivor. You can do what you want. And I said, but if we're bringing it back in, do you mind if I have a word with Taylor when we go back in? Because what I said to her was true. I was not complete from our bonfire. It upset me what she said. And I had more to say to her and I didn't have time. And I needed to, right? And so there are more of those moments that I feel that I'm not able to follow through on, so because of you got to keep it short.
And I can even sense too, like there's certain people that you connect with. Like I just every once in a while I'll be like,
Yeah,
there's a look, there's a vibe, and I'm like, ooh, that you could tell they have a special connection. I could like sense in that.
Is that like you feel connected to certain people, like right out the gate?
Yeah, I mean, I do my best to listen deeply to all of them. Mm-hmm. All of them have needs. All of them have come to the island. They're asking for a conversation. And I engage trying to meet them where they are. But some of their stuff hits different.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's fluid. And some of them hit me deeper. And then I'm like, let's do work here.
The response is super fascinating too, because I do feel like some people are lawyering up a little bit, right? Like you're presenting compassion and love and also advice, and they're kind of like, well, here's my argument.
Let me defend
versus
my position.
The people who are like really taking it in and then like using it and then come back to the next bonfire, and you could tell that they're almost looking to you now as someone that they could kind of talk to. It's interesting to watch the different kind of approaches, because you're kind of presenting consistency across the board, but it is interesting how everyone kind of has a different reaction. But everyone's very nice to you, but there is this level of certain people you could tell are like bated breath, kind of waiting for you, waiting for that advice.
But it is that when that happens,
Yeah.
that's also something to listen to. So for me, it's only information.
Yeah.
I always say I'm not really listening to what you're saying. I'm listening to why you chose to say it. So if I say something, you go, wow, I never considered that. And you see a change in their demeanor. I'm like, okay, so that's enough work for today. We got But when I feel somebody defending, which is our natural way to do it. And if you ask my wife, I'm a defense lawyer a lot.
Yeah.
That's also indicative of something deeper where you don't realize what you're doing until somebody, it's not me telling you what you need to do differently.
Sure.
Is when I'm doing my work the best, I'm holding up a mirror to you so you can see it.
Yeah.
And that's why the best coaching that I fail at sometimes is not to preach, but to ask questions. Keep asking questions so that they say it out of their mouth. And then they go, oh God, I heard it for the first time. So you ask questions like, what are you committed to in this? You seem to be defending your position. And why do you think you need to be right about this?
You're right.
And and then you got to keep finding a different way because not everybody can hear it the same way. So keep trying to find some words that they hear. And then my favorite thing is when you see the lights go on or the tears come out or some shift happens. And I'm like, welcome to the journey of life because I've been in this soup for 40 years. So, let's get in it.
Can I go back to the cheaty?
Oh, yeah.
Cheaty? No. I have a question about that. So, in regards to the person who has been cheated on, you mentioned a lot of people have then that feeling where, whether it be ego or whatnot, it's like, I don't want to look like I don't want it to be embarrassing to me where other people will be like, wow, I can't believe you didn't catch that or whatever. What do you think that is? Because that's something that's always been really fascinating to me because I've never once in my life looked at somebody who's gotten cheated on and been like, wow, what an idiot you were for not picking up on that. But I feel that so deeply with people.
There's a lot of that too. They're always like, I'm an idiot. I look like an idiot. And I'm like,
I have someone in my life who, and it's, so this is kind of a personal, I have someone in my life who's processing that, and something that they're saying is, I just feel so embarrassed. And I keep looking at them being like, I mean.
It's a conversation about self-worth. Even the language is you cheated means that we're in some sort of game. And that what you did was breaking the rules of our game, as opposed to what you did may have had nothing to do with me. You cheated, the threesome thing was born, and I'm convinced, born out of shit that predates this relationship. This is childhood stuff manifesting in a way that you thought was okay for all your life.
Yeah. And
because oftentimes you're so charming, you can convince people to still stay in your life after you've transgressed. The overarching come from for a lot of people is being so self-aware and so needing the validation from outside of yourself. So when something happens like you've been cheated on, it's difficult for some people to say, this really hurt me. I'm vulnerable, I'm in pain, my heart's broken, because there's part of that which is, I don't want people to think I'm weak. I don't want people to think I fucked up. What you think of me matters is a better way of saying it. What you think of me, and I'll give that power to anybody. The person in Starbucks at the table next to me, I will give that person power over me if I think they're not approving of what I just ordered. Right? And so I think that's where, when you're in pain and most vulnerable, sometimes you're even more highly aware of what people might be thinking. And so you scramble desperately to cover your ass so that people go, it wasn't you, Right. When in your heart, you're like, what did I do? Cheating. What did I do to make him do this?
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's ever the case.
Yeah.
I just don't think either side of it. I think, people make choices, and we can choose to say it was because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. but you don't necessarily have to take ownership of their behavior. You can take an honest look of how you might be different, but you didn't make that happen.
Do you think over the years, if someone were to look at you and be like, why do people cheat? That over the years of being a host on this show, you feel like...
I don't know if I can answer that, except that filling a hole. I think most of the world feels not quite complete and needing to feel bigger than they are, feeling small and insignificant, and looking for things from outside of them to make them feel bigger and stronger and powerful. And so I think that triggers all kinds of behavior. Sexual infidelity is only one aspect of it, but there's all kinds of behavior that comes out of that, masking your insecurity with overcompensating confidence or behavior of domination or actions that are like, fuck the world, I'm going to do me. But really, it's just really hard to say, I don't know, and I'm scared, and I don't feel strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a good guy. I don't know if I'm strong. I don't know if I'm lovable. I don't know if I'm capable of love. And those are legitimate questions to ask.
I'm like, I feel like over the years when we've taken our call home voicemails and heard from the audience, you've had a number of people call in who have said, my partner was unfaithful, and what do I do? Which is obviously a very big question because it's all so determinate on specific circumstances. But if you had to like cliff note it, if someone said, hey, I can't give you deets, I can't give you details of the situation, but my partner who I loved cheated on me, like, what do I do now?
Well, you either move on or forgive. And I think it's important that as we view couples that are going through it, we don't project a norm on that. Because like with Brianna and Shantae, I got that Brianna's behavior was compartmentalized. And I also got that Shantae knows a different, much thicker version, much more story of Brianna than we could ever know. Right. And her relationship to sex might be different. So where we would be like,
right,
I'm out.
Right.
She's like, yeah, but you don't know what I know. And a lot of this is working for me. And quite frankly, that thing that triggers you doesn't trigger me as hard.
That was my takeaway too.
Yeah.
With her was like, she's unique. Like I felt like the way that she was feeling about, like everyone else is so like, he cheated, but it's like, maybe that's not her number one thing. Maybe that's not the thing that she feels the most betrayed by. Well, who knows what it was, but it was interesting. It was like you say that, because I was the whole time I was kind of like, everyone's freaking out because they can't fathom how she's processing it in this way.
Well, they wanted
different.
They want her to throw a tantrum. They want her
how we would act.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is that I think it's unfair for us to look at any other couple going through what they're doing, however they're processing it, and thinking that they should be doing it differently.
Right.
Yeah. And yet that's what drives watching all of these shows.
Of course, I was going to say the reason
through
we watch
everybody,
it.
yeah.
I've said it a million times. To let you know how visceral it is, I can take two people, a guy and a girl, and put them on a couch and put you in another room, and there's a camera on the two people and no audio, and just have the two people sit there, and we will immediately have an opinion whether they should be together or not.
Sure, 100%.
Like completely. Like
they're horrible, they're great, whatever.
Or this is going to be great.
That's me within seconds. I'm like, I can feel the energy. But I do have to say that watching this season, it was something that was very, very powerful to me, was that it was, and of course we love watching reality TV. It's fun. It's a fun discussion. But this specific season did hold up a mirror for myself when I was watching it, where I clearly had certain individuals who just lit me aflame. I was so angry and triggered and projecting my experiences on. And there were numerous moments where in your conversation with them, I paused and I was like, I need to take a beat here, because I do only know a certain layer. And yes, what they did objectively completely wrong. But is this going to be, again, this is a fun reality TV show that we're talking about, but do I do this in real life too much? Like, how often in reality am I just taking a snapshot of someone and saying this is who they are and this is how I feel that they, whether they should be together or not, or whether this person would be a good friend, or how often? And literally, I walked away from Temptation Island being like, I need to reflect a little bit, because I think I'm snap judgment.
I think the snap judgment is normal. I think we all do it. I think it's a mixture of protection of what we're afraid of and intuition, which is something that's legit.
Very important, yeah.
Which is a lot of what I'm doing is intuiting. I'm trying to get beyond the words and get into I feel you mode. But what's dangerous about that is that your insecurities layered over that will kind of dictate your intuition based on your own insecurities, unless you do some work to separate that. But I do think it's a natural thing to have a snap judgment. It's often not a wrong judgment. It's like you'll get plenty of agreement if you share it with other people.
Sure.
But for me, I have to just look at all of these young couples as works in progress who are going to make horrible mistakes and get some things incredibly right, and going to sloppily and awkwardly stumble through the journey of love and life just like we do.
Yeah.
You know, and just crush each other's souls a lot and mend them up and find your safe haven, and then hopefully find the person that you can crush and heal and mend together over and over and over again. Because I don't think we ever get to, I think it's kind of bullshit when you see a couple that's always just happy. It's all just good. That's just not it.
Yeah. Like, maybe you're just not sharing. Okay, family, got to take a quick pause here. Listen, today, aside from talking about Temptation Island, obviously, we're also going to be talking a little bit about our personal lives. So may I suggest to you all something I personally love? And that's Via. Whether you need to unwind, refocus, or just pretend you have your life together, Via is here to enhance your everyday, and let's be honest, probably your night too. Honestly, I love all of Via's products I've tried. You have to go check out their website. They have so many amazing products, such an incredible variety for everything. But currently, I've been obsessed with their Elevate Focus Gummy. I feel simultaneously relaxed, chilled out, and tuned in, great creative energy flow. It's incredible. So if you're 21 plus, treat yourself to 15% off and get a free gift with your first order using our exclusive code MOMDAD at viahemp.com.
Listen, 500,000 happy customers can't be wrong, and we are two of those very happy customers. Via is changing the game in natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real, effect-driven results. Not just fancy packaging and empty promises. Want better sleep, more focus, a little boost in the bedroom, or maybe you just need to chill out because your stress levels are currently at screaming into the void status.
Yep.
Borderline for me, myself. Whatever you need, Via has a solution for you.
They really do. And here's my favorite part. Via lets you customize your experience, whether you're looking for daily wellness, laser focus, or like deep relaxation. Via has it. They have products that range from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, genuinely an option for everyone. We're talking award-winning effect-forward gummies, 2 calming drops, all made with organic lab-tested hemp from trusted independent American farms, and Via legally ships nationwide discreetly, okay? No medical card required, no sketchy parking lot meetups, just straight to your door with a worry-free guarantee. Here's the deal. If you were like me and not sure where to start, no worries. Via has this great product finder quiz that will hook you up with the perfect match in less than 60 seconds. Again, I love the Elevate Focus Gummy. My current other faves are High Love for the bedroom, Zen for the sleepy time. Evan loves the Dreams Gummy for the bedtime. There's something for everyone, like I said. So if you are 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code MOMDAD to receive 15% off, free shipping on orders over $100, and if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via. Okay, back to Mark.
Yeah.
I have one last little question about cheating.
Okay.
Do you think it's actually possible to forgive?
I think you can forgive. You just can't forget.
But again, it's kind of like, are those kind of somewhat intertwined? Where it's like, when I think about family relationships, we know where it's like 30 years later, you find out that like the divorce was soured by, you know what I mean? It was like 30 years ago when the cheating happened. To this day, it's still a thing. Oh yeah, you cheated, and then 20 years later, you're still kind of paying for it. When you see the resentment on both sides, you're still holding that against me. That was 20 years ago. Or how could you ever have done that to me? Like, is it actually possible? Because it's like you said, to forgive, but you can't forget. But if you don't forget, are you still kind of never trusting that person all the way? I'm just fascinated by that. I'm like,
I think all that you say is true. All of those scenarios. I think the word I'm looking for here is complete. So when I say you can forgive but not forget, I think for some, and these are lessons I've learned from older couples than me. Mm-hmm. Like that story you see in a movie where she had a lover when they were 25,
right?
And they both know about it and we didn't. Mm-hmm. And then they seem to be this happy couple forever. Right. I don't think either person gets over the transgression. I think they get complete with it. Look, there's a list of resentments Robbie will tell you towards me, and I have a few towards her that we will always have. Yeah. But the bigger picture of our relationship is I'll suffer the pain of these things in contrast and comparison to all the things that fill up my life.
Got it.
And so I think the thing we do with pain, with things we've done that we feel bad about, or things that have been done to us that we feel bad about, is we either hold on to them,
right?
We get out of that relationship and try something new, but we're still holding on to that. So we're in love with somebody new, but we still are pissed about that guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or we get complete on things, which is a very difficult process, but it is something. I feel like I'm constantly trying to get complete on things from my childhood, things with my own parents, things from my early relationship, things with my kids, things with friends of mine. You know how you lay in bed and all of a sudden you cringe because you remember a moment?
Oh, God.
I have them all the time.
Gosh.
Right. Yeah. So
every time you have an extra glass of wine at that like dinner party, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, did I really do that? Oh, my God. So weird.
Oh, and mine are like 20 years old. Yeah. Did I really say that? Was I that arrogant? And I think the answer is something in the spirituality of forgiving yourself, sitting with the things that are uncomfortable, not having them. Robbie says this perfectly. He says, we humans are meaning makers. Life is just lifing. It has no meaning, right? It doesn't have meaning in the sense of how we, but we attach meaning to absolutely everything. If I say to you, oh, you chose to wear those pants today, you hear, you don't like my pants. Yep. Right. Yeah. And it may not be wrong, but the meaning making is the incompletion of relationship. Mm-hmm. And when we can sit with the story we've created around the facts that exist and get complete on it, then we got a chance to forgive, but not forget really big stuff that hurt. We acknowledge the pain. Pain may go away, may stay with us. We acknowledge it, we get complete on it, and we move on. Much easier said than done.
Sure.
And it's a double down. So I found there are things that I got complete on that then trigger back up, and I got to do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to go,
it's like any work. Yeah.
Like any work. Right.
Because we even just watch like The Bachelor and stuff, and we watch all these different shows, and it's like such a common thing is like the person sitting down with the lead and being like, it's just been hard for me because I got cheated on my last relationship, and I've just been, I don't know, I'm struggling with, you know what I mean? It's like I'm struggling with this whole process. It's like, it's just such a visceral thing that people, and everyone almost seems to be struggling with, whether they did it or got it done to them, and then it spreads out into all their life, and it's like, it's just such an interesting concept, because it's like the coming back from that in a relationship, staying in a relationship, even if you say it's all good, I always fascinated by how people handle it, because it's...
So, in a bigger picture, one of the things that makes us all tick as humans, one of the things I've spent a lot of time working on and had a lot of coaching on, is when we meet someone new or we experience anything new, our survival skill is to immediately take whatever this new thing is and knee-jerk relate it to the thing most closely similar to it in our past.
Sure.
And then we react to it the same way we did in the past, which ensures that we're going to get the same outcome we did in the past. So that's what I'm talking about. So the work is those things that are in your past that keep, let me make it clear. There are certain areas of our life where we're fully powerful. Some people it's money, some people it's love, some people it's, friendship, whatever the things are.
Right.
And then certain areas that we seem to not be able to break through repeating the same behavior.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we're not complete on. And so what happens is a new person comes in our life and we're like, yeah, same hair as that girl I had in 7th grade and this is going to crush me. So I'm going to react this way. Instead of going back in our thinking to 7th grade and going, what was that about and how do I feel about it? And what's the meaning I've attached to it that's not serving me now?
Yes.
And how do I say thank you to that? Thanks for sharing and move on. Now, one of the things Robbie says is a horrible analogy, but to me, it really makes things clear. You know the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Love it.
Okay. So he's seeing other people in his life.
Right.
And the hope is he gets cured where he doesn't see the other people. But he intellectually gets, I can tell the difference because they don't age. So he is able to put a marker in these people that they're not real. But they never leave him.
Right. He
just allows them to be. It's
They're
not
in his
allowed.
house and they're hanging out.
They live there because there's no way to not have them live there. The difference is he looks at him and goes, thanks for sharing. They're not dictating his behavior.
Yes.
So I think the things in our life, the things in our current life where we keep repeating the same mistakes and we can't seem to write that book, we can't seem to save that money, we can't seem to do these things, is a repeating of behavior from our childhood. And we don't get to go back and fix it and it goes away. We get to recognize it and go, I see you telling me a story, a drama that doesn't serve me. And I get to say, this is Robbie's phrase, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I see you sitting in the corner, not aging. You're a figment.
Yeah.
You're not serving me. Thanks. And then we get to choose a more rational invention, a possibility to have this thing we were likening to something else and have a different response to it, which dictates a different outcome.
Got it.
It's so interesting because I think about in our relationship, infidelity wasn't the issue, but of course, hey, we've been married for a long time. We've got plenty of issues that we've had to work through. And I think about at the end of the day, I suppose the reason why we were able to have gotten this far is getting to that point where it's the forgive but don't forget. I mean, truly, because I think about the beginnings of our relationship, my big thing that I couldn't get over was in the first year or two of our marriage, Evan was gone so much and I didn't expect that. And then for Evan, in the first 2 years of our relationship, I was really struggling with my mental health. And because of that, and I wasn't taking care of myself, I was saying a lot of unkind things to Evan. And so that was those first 2 years, those trickled in for years and years and years to our relationship. And the struggle was that it was I forgive you, but the forgiveness wasn't, I guess, entirely there for a long time, because then we get to the point where it's okay, now we haven't forgotten. And trust those things.
It's not that you choose to not forget. You can't forget.
You can't forget.
Right.
And so it's those things will still come up. But the difference being is that, like you were saying, treating it the same way, the same behavior every time. It's like, okay, well, Jessica, guess what? When you approach the conversation this way every time and it never works, maybe
Try something different.
maybe
So-
I haven't tuned into something.
Exactly. So when Evan leaves,
Yeah.
and your story is he's doing this to me,
Right.
and his leaving is to avoid me and doesn't love me, and that's my story, it's not serving me. So when now, we don't forget that that's how he felt, but now when Evan leaves for a trip,
Yeah.
we get to give him a kiss and say, right when you get work and you'll be home
Thank
soon.
you so
and I
much
love you.
for helping the family
Right,
out.
because the choice and the work is to realize that his actions, they're not, you didn't make that happen and it's not your fault,
Right.
right? And your reaction to it comes out of something that predates him.
And that was, I'm like, my it was all so insecurity based for
How
me.
dare you leave me?
Well, I was like, I must not be enough that you want to escape because I have things in my past with my family with, leaving, that I'm like, okay, I must not be enough. I was projecting that on him. And for him, it was never, I'm trying to leave you. For him,
So
it was
good.
like, well, I'm working hard so that we can afford
And then,
this.
And I had no idea when we signed our marriage contract that it said you will now be just with me all the time. And I
24/7.
don't remember that
was
in
part of
the license.
And-
No, I'm just kidding.
I
was
have
like- it
had
was
the
an
same.
asterisk.
Robbie and I have had the same issue because
Yeah.
I've traveled a lot when the kids were younger.
Of course.
And leaves her with
Sure.
2 kids and baseball and ballet and all this stuff. And it was a challenge. And what happens is 2 sides of it. You feel terrible or she feels terrible while I'm gone. And then I feel guilty if I have a good time while I'm
Yeah.
gone, that I'm doing it to her.
Ooh, you
So then every night when we have the call, I'm pretending that it's been a
This
terrible
nightmare.
day. I'm grinding this out, even though we just did go-karts because it was a day off, which I deserve to do.
Of course.
Right, of course.
Right? And I don't want to be sleeping in a hotel.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's cool.
Yeah.
And then you're going, it's a different kind of tired.
Right.
She's like going, I know you're tired, but it's a different kind of tired. I had to deal with the kids and this, that, and the other. And so guilt and resentment.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to you, you're doing it to me, I'm taking it on, and it all lives, as I said earlier, in the story we create, the meaning we attach,
Yes.
as opposed to, and it doesn't go away. So it's always going to be there, but we have to say to ourselves, hey, thanks for sharing. Robbie leaving right now does not mean she's leaving me and doing it
Yes.
to me.
Right.
Thanks for sharing. And I'm going to fight my what I'm thrown to do, which is pretend I'm not having a good time and be honest. Today was a fucking great day.
I don't miss you at all. This is incredible.
Well, it's not even
No, I'm
that.
just
I
kidding.
wish you were here, but I did
Had a
shots
great
with my
day.
crew and
It was
behavior I don't do at home, and it was really, really fucking fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'll be home soon.
Yes.
But I'd like to be able to tell you about it and not feel terrible about it, or do what I used to do, which is try to pretend like it's really difficult out here, so you don't feel bad.
That was a big hump for us because once we got through that, I noticed that when both of us go do something, we're super like, go have the fucking best time ever.
Yeah.
Because you're not with us right now. You know what I mean? You're not taking on all the bullshit of your life. You're like, you have that 3-day thing. Maximize it.
Yeah.
Go kill it.
Yeah,
you know,
balls to
like
the
don't
wall.
wait. Like to now, it's almost the opposite trigger.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't have a good time. You wasted it.
Exactly.
You know,
And
you
you know
went
how
off
long
the
it's gonna be,
4
but-
days, and you didn't have a good time.
And do you know in
What
our
are you-
life how long it's going to be until you get those 4
Yeah.
days again?
It's like I would have had the best time. You wasted that. Where before it
Exactly.
was like you're having fun without me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's funny how
But
that
yeah.
switches.
Or the phrase is, you have a whole life without me. There's a whole other life.
There's a
Right,
whole
yeah,
There's a whole other
Who even are
family.
you?
Yeah,
I don't
who
even
are
know
you?
who
Who
they
are you?
are.
Yeah.
But it's so wild. Like, yeah, everything you're saying, when then the reframing began, it was like all of a sudden I got hit with this wild realization of like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I have a partner who works so hard, who cares so much about his family, who grinds to make sure that like we're good and that I'm able to do something that I love for a living. And this is amazing. And I'm so grateful for it. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be
Versus just, like,
recording this and just having it like on tap in case there's ever a
like,
fire.
dude,
Sure.
Yeah.
Just-
But then it's like,
Yeah, I
yeah, then when
appreciate
you're
it.
gone, it's like, yeah, go. Like, have, yeah.
Well, you said a
enjoy
phrase
yourself.
that I was putting a pin in, and one of the things I've been working on is not cutting you off in the middle of talking because I get so excited.
Oh my gosh, no, please.
Because I've gotten a couple comments. Stop mansplaining. Okay, I got it. I don't get it, but I get it. But you said a phrase as the first part of a point you were making when you said, I don't feel I'm enough, and then da-da-da-da. You don't have to say the other part. I think that is the driving point for so many of us across the board is the general feeling of I'm just not enough. And I'm dancing as fast as I can for you not to see it. So all the overconfident acting out behavior is me dancing as fast as I can so you don't see that I'm scared to death and I don't feel I'm enough for this.
Yeah. So, because I'm like, I don't want to speak for you, but then on the flip side too, I would imagine, at least, via our conversations over years, is that then when I am like, you're going again, and I'm spiraling about that, there's a feeling of like, I'm trying to work hard and balance all this. Am I not enough? And you're feeling, am I not enough, in a whole different way.
Right.
And we're both then just feeling like, why are we not enough?
And they're both not true. There are these soap operas we've written that we believe to be true. And that's the thing I'm working on right now is the phrase, thanks for sharing.
Okay, family, got to take one more quick pause. I loved this conversation with Mark so much wisdom per usual. I'm going to need to sleep on it to let it really soak in. Luckily, I have the best place to sleep. I'm talking about our Leesa mattress, of course. You all know how obsessed we are with our Leesa mattresses. And yes, I say mattresses because initially we got a Leesa twin to put in the room for guests. But then it was so comfortable that we started taking turns sleeping on that twin.
Yeah.
So we ended up spoiling ourselves and we got a Leesa mattress for our bedroom as well. That is how comfortable it is. That is how good of a night's rest we got on it. We sleep so much better on our Leesa mattress. And I've shared too that my mom got a Leesa mattress after sleeping on our Leesa a few times. She has a hard time with sleep and she can struggle with it. And so she slept so well on that Leesa mattress that she got one herself and she loves it. Even our dogs are noticeably on our bed all the time now because they love it so much. So listen, we got multiple Leesas. My mom's getting them. The dogs love them. I mean, the proof is just right there. They're the best.
Yeah, we both sleep like heaven now. Clearly, we love our Leesa mattress, and something we specifically love is that Leesa has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. We have the Sapira Hybrid, and it's a perfect fit for both of us. Using the highest quality materials, Leesa meticulously designs and assembles their mattresses in America for exceptional comfort and support. And delivery is free, returns are easy, and you have 100 nights to try out your mattress in the comfort of your own home.
Also with Leesa, your purchase has a purpose. Every year, Leesa donates thousands of mattresses to those in need, with more than 41,000 donated to date. They're amazing. The mattresses are amazing. They're a great company. We love Leesa. Go to Leesa.com for 30% off mattresses plus a free sleep bundle. That's 2 free pillows and microfiber sheet set. Plus, get an extra $50 off with promo code MOMDAD exclusive to our listeners. That's LEESA.com, promo code MOMDAD for 30% off mattresses plus a free sleep bundle. That's 2 free pillows and a microfiber sheet set plus an extra $50 off. Leesa.com, promo code MOMDAD. Remember, no matter who you are, there's a Leesa just for you. All right, let's get back to Mark.
Yeah. Or the book that this is a segment I'm going to do in my podcast, which is Shit My Wife Made Me Read, which I think is going to be awesome.
That's great.
So the latest thing she's made me read, against my will, is I'm reading Michael Singer's, I think it's Michael Singer's Untethered Soul, the Untethered Soul, and I'm trying to get my head around the concept, which is there are your thoughts that happen as fast as they can come, that up till this distinction, I hold to be true. Mm-hmm. And then there's the observer of those thoughts. And that's the real you, where fear, anger, resentment is happening as fast as you can. And the the actual me can say, look at those thoughts that he's having.
Right.
And the distance from those thoughts, I still don't have my head around this. I'm working on it for next season. I'll probably bust this out of the bonfire. But when you get clear that you're the observer of the thoughts, not the thoughts,
Yes.
because the thoughts are a drama. They're written. It's a script.
Right.
They're not necessarily the truth. So being the observer of the thoughts is the first step of the freedom from the thoughts that I have not mastered. But that's
it's almost like the taking your own advice concept, where it's like, you know, the emotions are just chemistry and like your body just doing things. You can wake up one day and be like full of rage, and the next day you're like, life's incredible and thankful, and then the next day you're like, nothing ever good happens to me. But then like the third person, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, a better way I just thought that we can get this, is that when we see somebody else struggling, another couple or another person struggling, and we're not attached to it at all,
Yeah.
we see it so clearly.
Right.
We're like,
oh my gosh,
you're living this lie. It's not even true. So what if we were able to do that for our own thoughts as easily as we can do it for somebody else's
Yes.
thoughts? And that's the battle I'm in these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually something I kind of was thinking about when I was thinking about you and this whole process. Was like, going to ask you, is like, do you find it difficult? And I'm sure this is a funny question for your wife too, but like, when you have all of this knowledge and you have all this kind of very fast ability to tap into great advice and be able to kind of analyze a relationship or analyze a situation very quickly and kind of have, you know, a really good kind of concept behind it, is it almost torturous sometimes for your own life? Because it's almost like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost better to not know what the right thing to do is. So then it's easy when someone tells you and you can just apply it, versus knowing what the right thing is and then not really doing it and then feeling the torture of that kind of journey.
Even bigger is the believing you know it.
Okay.
So the thinking version of me, the knowing all the answers, which by the way, as a dad, I know a lot of shit.
Sure.
Right.
But the need to be right, the need to be knowing it, the intellectualizing, like you're having an emotional breakdown, you're as the kids say, crashing out or something, and you're in it, but your intellect is so strong that you can go, well, yeah, but that's because of this, that, and the other. And now you've built this whole case based in logic because you're so damn smart. So the bliss of not being so smart, I'm joking about that, is actually the state of being open to a possibility other than the one you're married to.
Yes.
Not married as married emotionally to. And so that's a battle. It's not what you know, it's what you don't know you don't know.
Right.
So hold on. There's things you know and things you don't know. But there are things you don't know you don't know.
That's the scary stuff. Yeah.
And
that's what keeps me up at night.
Yeah. Well, see, Robbie's head is, I read the book, I took the advice, I put it into practice, I feel better.
Right.
Because her her absolute commitment to feeling better is bigger than her commitment to being right or understanding it.
Yes.
But mine is the rainbow wheel on your Mac.
Rather be right and miserable than incorrect and learn something new, because it's almost like you're giving up on.
It's a puzzle that my head grinds on, and there's no peace in that. Mm-hmm. Instead of being able to say, I don't even know that I don't know something there. Okay, I know that sounds like doublespeak, but I can just let it go. I'm allowed to not have the answer for this.
Right.
As opposed to grinding my computer on something that I can't logically, I'm not going to find the answer because there isn't one. But I think it's like the harder I work, the better, good for you.
Yeah.
It's like your zero carbon imprint. I'm driving a private jet, but because I gave money to here, somehow that's a zero. Right. So I think there's some beauty in just going, I just can't figure that out.
Simplifying the process.
And observing how you're thinking, and your thinking's not your friend. Mm-hmm. Like thinking about your problems, writing that story, that's not your friend. Get out. This is not a good place to live. Robbie calls it K-fuck radio.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my mind's blaring.
All the time.
Blaring.
And that's where I bring in the beautiful mind, where you got to say, hey, thanks for sharing. I'm going to turn this radio on now, which is, I'm enough. You know, it
Being
comes back
smart
to
enough
that.
just to ruin your life. It's like, it really is a thing.
Yeah.
Like some of the most miserable people I've ever met are the smartest people I know.
That's why geniuses go crazy.
Right? Because it's like, you know just enough to kind of think you know everything, and have enough ego from knowing all the things to not have the humility to know, I don't really know what's going on. And it's like that weird middle ground of being a human is like enough
And
to drive you nuts.
there's even a darker manifestation of that, is that when you get outside reinforcement or somebody's really giving it to you, you smile at them and go, but I know better.
Yeah.
I fooled them.
Yeah.
You know, no. Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's cute that you think I'm awesome, but I know I suck.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like,
Oof.
that's how
Yeah.
just, you know, what's the word you're looking for? It's just how sinister our thoughts can be in sabotaging our happiness.
No, absolutely. Okay, I'm like, I
we
don't
can
want to
keep going.
monopolize.
We should-
I could sit and talk to Mark for 5 hours in a row,
This
but
could be
some of the
installment one.
listeners did send. So we gotta
Yes.
at least get in 1 or 2 questions.
Let's do it.
Family, I'm so sorry. I'm monopolizing Mark's time.
No,
but I just,
so that you know, nothing I enjoy more than this. And let me just say one thing to that. I don't know anything. I'm just in a constant conversation of trying to figure out this human condition. What are the things that are running my life that don't serve me? And I'm constantly trying to learn more about how to be happy and not miserable.
Well,
So
but
I never get tired of this.
And you inspire me so much because every time we talk, I love the perspective of like, but I don't know. And life's just a journey of not knowing. And just to live in that always provides me, after our conversations, so much hope.
Would you call and remind me I said it? Yes. Because I'll be home
I'll shoot
going,
you a text every
oh,
once in
you
a
were
while.
so arrogant with Jess again. Oh, you're a fucking asshole.
No.
So none of us are immune.
Yeah, I appreciate
None of us are immune.
I appreciate
We just have to
that.
forgive ourselves and say we're enough. You're enough. I promise.
Just soak that in. Warm hug. That's what I'll be playing on repeat. Just
Lies.
Mark on loop.
You're not enough.
Yeah.
You'll never be enough. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Okay, can we a question or 2 from the family?
let's do it.
We have to get this in.
I'm in no
because-
hurry. So
Okay.
Here we go.
Hi, Mom and Dad. This question is for Mark.
wow.
So, I'm in a long-term relationship with someone I once thought of as my soulmate. It's been a bitter realization, but I think the version of me who chased after love wherever I could find it is starting to grow up. It's a bit too late for that, though, because I have children with this man. And what I want to know is it a lost cause to trying to get him to love me how I want to be loved? And am I doomed because I'm trying to change someone that I claim to love? I'm asking for consideration and communication and overall just more support. But he tells me that he wishes I would just accept him the way he is, like he does for me. But sometimes his acceptance just makes me feel like he doesn't care. Yeah, if you could help me, that would be great. Love you, Mark. And Mom and Dad. Okay, bye.
Love you.
I love you too. Oh, that got me.
Mm.
So Ram Dass, one of Robbie's favorite teachers, and I paraphrase, is the only thing I can do for you in a relationship is work on me. And the only thing you can do for me is work on you. Then I'll add in what little I know about Al-Anon, which is a 12-step program in companionship with Alcoholics Anonymous, which is detach with love. His behavior you cannot control. Okay? You're not going to change anybody. But what you can do is give yourself the gift of being happy without anybody else's input. This is you loving yourself at a point that whatever this noise is doesn't dictate your happy or sadness. The other thing I want to say about the kids is that you have it that they're mutually exclusive. I can't have a I can't break off this relationship and be happy, or be in this relationship. It's impossible that that's going to be a happy thing, but I can't make it work with the kids. And I'm just going to suggest to you that there are lots of possible ways, and they're not mutually exclusive, because suffering for the sake of your children is going to dictate that your children suffer for the sake of their children. Right? You know what your kids really want? They want you to be happy and feel safe so that you can make them feel safe. So as far as the other side of the coin, which is hurting you, and I really hear the pain, it's lofty, but sometimes when we make a shift for our own authenticity, our own centeredness, our own peace, and our own joy, when we make the shift, irrespective where irregardless isn't, of whatever this noise is, sometimes it's undeniable. And in relationship, we often mirror one another. So if you make a conscious shift of working on yourself, independent of his drama, you may find that he starts to make a shift too. But requesting the shift and blaming, whether it's due or not, or expectation that someone will be anything other than who they are, doesn't do anything to them, but leaves you feeling empty and not enough. And that's, I'm not putting this on you, but that's of your own doing. And I say that in a positive way. That means, and because it is, it's something you can control, right? So it's really about, detaching from the noise of the drama that is attached to your expectation of what you want this person to become, and focusing more on what it is that makes you happy and joyful and safe and strong, and doing those things even when he disapproves. And you can lovingly say, thank you for sharing, but I'm committed to my happiness and you're welcome to join me or not. And if it's not working, I give you permission to get out. And you may find that even though it's messy, there is a possibility of everybody being better because of it. This is a real cliche thing to say, but things either happen to you or they happen for you. And you get to choose that.
Wow. Love that.
I hope that helps. I'm going to think about that more and go, I probably should have said something else. But that's what came up for me.
No, that was...
You could really feel her pain. You could really feel what she's grappling with.
The loneliness.
And everything you're saying. I'm processing everything you're saying, because it's like, dear listener, like, I'm so sorry that you're hurting. And like,
and
Mark was
hopeless,
saying,
like you don't see a possibility.
Yeah. But everything that you were talking about, Mark, too, just so this listener doesn't feel lonely, like everything you're saying, it's like, I hear that. I feel that in my relationship, we're like in a healthy place right now. And I feel like so many people listening, what you just were sharing, it's like there are so many pieces of that connect in human relationship in general, and that feeling. So I hope, listener, that you don't feel alone in this as well. And I can't say it better than Mark said it, that's for sure.
And also, when you speak it out to your friends and others, you'll see that you're not alone, because it's not a unique situation. Your feelings are common. Not common in a bad sense, common in a communal sense. And in that, there's comfort and support. And it's just, life is a messy, messy ride. We choose people we fall in love with. Sometimes the love is not a healthy reason we were drawn to them. People are growing at different paces. You hope you're in a relationship where you're growing each other up at the same pace. It's not the case. There have been periods of time where I'm cracking and Robbie's just not getting it. And then there's far more periods of time where Robbie's really having these breakthroughs and teaching, and I'm just not interested. Or I go, yeah, but not for me.
Yeah.
And then I suffer.
Yeah. And, just like one little, this caveat to, or not caveat, but like addition thing.
Yes.
Is like, the little moments for me, at least, that I feel like there's a breakthrough in our relationship are when I have resentment, I have the frustration. Why isn't just this? Like we're really just feeling lonely about something or whatever. It's like not connecting, or why doesn't she get me in whatever the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that like my breakthroughs are when I snap for just a moment and try to like practice compassion and empathy and think about where she's at. Because what happened, what I'm hearing too, is that he's got something going on. And that she's going, he doesn't love me this way, da, da, da. And I'm hearing their conversations. I'm hearing her going, how come you don't even like cuddling with me? I'm hearing, you don't seem to like to do these things that would mean something to me. And he's going, I'm not enough for you. Just like I wasn't with this other thing in my life. And why don't you love me for who I am instead of, you know what I mean? It's like, it's interesting because I've been in that place where I felt like, you don't love me for who I am, so I have to kind of perform these things just so you'll love me. And it's an interesting.
Or you're asking things of me that
isn't honest.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm consistent. I've been the same guy.
Exactly, and it's like it's interesting to hear that because I'm going like, oh, I guarantee if he saw you like working on your own happiness and not making it about if you just change these 3 things, then I'll be happy. He'll kind of go, why are you smiling a lot? Like, why are you seem like you're having a good time? But all of a sudden, I didn't change a thing, and now all of a sudden you're happy.
Oh, and
I want to be a part of that. What's going on over there? It might be kind of a pull him out of his slump.
There's also another part of that that's really, really astute that you just said, is that when you are happy without him needing to change anything, it takes the pressure off of him feeling like he's
feeling
not doing
something where he's like,
oh, she's happy and I might not be fucking up.
Right.
And then he may remember what he's forgotten, which is, whoa, I get to be happy too.
Something's going on.
And I think it's important for you, the listener, who so beautifully shared what you shared, to realize that his unhappiness is not caused by you, nor do you have to own that. So, yeah, we're all a mess. We're a beautiful mess.
Yes.
Next?
Yes.
Sure.
Hi, Mom and Dad. And Uncle Mark.
Uncle Mark.
Okay, guys, I am gonna try to just give you guys the deets because I am an ADHD girly, and you're saying Jess is saying that a 2-minute voice memo to Evan is he should feel so lucky, and that is how I'm feeling because I could go on all day. Okay, so I recently found out about a few weeks ago that a coworker of mine that I've known for about 3 years but have only become close with over the past 6 months, she really pursued a friendship with me, hardcore, was asking me to hang out like almost every day of the week. We have kids the same age, and so I was like, oh, this is, like a fun mom friend, we can take the kids. And then it started, we would hang out with our husbands, our families would hang out, we just went camping with our families. She started offering to babysit my children, and I've never left my kids with anybody but family before. But I was just like, wow, that's so nice. She's was just very persistent. I had some coworkers who mentioned that they thought it was weird that she wanted to be my friend so much. She started wearing her hair like me, dressing like me. And I was just kind of like, you guys, I'm that cool, and it turns out, I found out about a few weeks ago that she has actually been having an affair with my husband for the past 4 months, and kind of the entire friendship was kind of a ruse to be near my husband, get near my husband, ask me kind of what he likes, what, I was telling this woman, are very personal issues, and she was kind of like using them and exploiting them to woo him. He has been in a very dark place lately. He has had 3 knee surgeries in the past 3 years. Is always in chronic pain from playing college football, and his own father is having some health issues. So we've been married for 12 years, or we've been together for 12 years, and he's always been a very trustworthy person, always been very loyal, reliable, like, prides himself on being, a good family man, and, this is just very out of character for him. I believe him when he says that he has hit rock bottom, and this is kind of like the wake-up call that he needed to snap him out of his self-pity. And he has been like showing me that he can be a more supportive partner, and he's been like taking actual steps to prove that. He's like been going to therapy, he's been a lot more hands-on with our children, blah blah blah. My question for you, Uncle Mark Daddy, is what do you think of that? Can a relationship that's been fairly positive and very loving, for the majority, 12 years, kind of be salvaged? Is it possible to cheat one time and never cheat again? Like, I told him if this is gonna work, I need him to like regret it every day for the rest of his life, and like make it up to me every day. He needs to prove that he can be the man that I deserve. So what are your thoughts? Let me know. Bye.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So first of all, crazy friend at work, with this ruse.
And her
thought
voice
ruse
was so like calm too that like I was not expecting that type of turn.
You are literally an angel of this earth. Like, just the energy coming off of this family member. It's like just I was not expecting that turn with the friend.
I kind of saw it coming.
And that's why you do what you do.
Yeah, that's why
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
One of the things, let's just take the listener at her word. Let's assume, that her baggage isn't dictating this.
Yeah.
But I love that she recognized the vulnerability of her guy that left him susceptible and open to a possible predator in this woman. And then shit went sideways. The big question is what we talked about earlier. Can you forgive and not forget? Can you complete on it in a way? Because 2 things. First, you asked, is there such thing as somebody cheating once? I think so. I think so. If in fact what you're saying is true, that it was this real bad time in his life, that he was filling the void with someone who was telling him he's perfect all the time, and it's a pretty standard story we hear, and I totally get it, and you get it, which is really, I want to give you some props for that, is that there's some high thinking on that. But there's no guarantee there. There's no guarantee for any of us that it's going to stay great. The thing that worries me on your part is the need for him to prove every day that he's going to do right by you. So here's what you got to grapple with. You're either going to forgive him or you're not. You're either going to take your entire relationship and weigh it in its entirety and decide that while this is painful, this is regrettable, and it could happen again, the rest of it is worth it. And it's absolutely valid to expect his behavior to change to reassure you and your kids that he's on board 100%. But it's unrealistic to need him to prove it at all times. He needs to be able to also be vulnerable and upset some days and absent some days, and without you saying anytime he shows any human behavior that he must be, banging another coworker of yours. So that's difficult. I don't have an answer, but it really comes down to therapy because there's clinical help here and a willingness to not just once, but constantly be in the conversation of healing each other and growing together and communicating intimately with each other how you're feeling at all times and not accusatorily. I'm not sure that's a word, but my point is you can't constantly expect him to make it better, but you can be partners with him to talk about what's hurting you when your insecurities show up or what you're noticing in his behavior. You can ask questions. Are you okay? What's going on with you? And if you teach each other how to be rigorously honest and vulnerable with one another, then you got a chance. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have then a question for you, Mark, because I'm processing this. Is there, when you're talking about, the idea of him not being able to forever, every day say, hey, when you're talking to couples, is there like a timeline where you're like, hey, there needs to be like supplication for this amount of time?
Well, first of all, it's self-supplication too, because I see it all the time, is like, you messed up, so you're going to be a good boy. Right. And prove it. But it's performative, right? Mm-hmm. So engaging where you were disengaged is different than performative behavior in hopes that you get out of the doghouse.
Right.
Right.
Like, please forgive me versus like actually changing.
I'm taking the kids to the park and you look really pretty, as opposed to organically having the conversation ongoing about the pain this caused. Why? What have you learned? And you may still. This is me asking him. What have you learned about that episode? And what are you still learning about that episode? And where is it showing up for you? Mm-hmm. And simply being on the other side of it is like, sometimes I'm feeling this. The pain shows up for me, and I'm requesting some reassurance here. Yeah. And sometimes I'm scared. Yeah. And because what's not healthy, in my opinion, is that I don't think it's fair to expect that he's going to be super dad and super lover every day because he fucked up. Yeah. So what we want to do is complete on the pain. We don't forget it. We don't even, we that's why scars are scars, right? It doesn't hurt as bad as it did, but it's always a reminder of something traumatic that happened. But when it shows up and it starts to run you, or when you think it's running him, that's when, with a therapist or without a therapist, that's when you have a deeper conversation. Mm-hmm. And not you. I always say it's not about the other person. It's I feel. This is what I'm feeling. He says what he's feeling. And then hopefully you can get another completion to then get back to a really good, comfortable place where we can look across at each other's eyes and go, yeah, we both fuck up a lot, but I'm here and you're there and you matter. And I know that I matter to you. And then it's less performative, which looks good and makes you feel good, but it really doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel like, is he bullshitting me? Mm-hmm. Right? So that, look how being the great dad thing, then you're going to start wondering, does he resent me? It feels good
for a minute.
Yeah.
And then
it's not real.
Yeah.
So you got to give space for him to be real, but you get to request transparency and a conversation when you're not feeling safe. You get to say, I don't feel safe. Mm-hmm. And then he could say, I'm really having a hard time at work. And that's why I've been a little distant. And maybe there's some exercise we can do so we can reconnect, because it's a battle that if your relationship is thick enough, it's worth fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can be a battle. You just have to be a warrior, a spiritual, emotional warrior with each other.
I love that.
Yeah.
Off of what you're saying, if I were to make this very personal, which I tend to do, it's one of my traits. If I were first of all, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. If I was in your shoes and this happened with Evan and myself, and I was choosing, so I'm going to make an active choice to choose to stay in the relationship. Because like you were saying, you've been with your partner for 12 years and from your perspective, everything's been good and he's been a great partner. But, knee surgeries, issues with his dad's health, all these things, he's hit rock bottom. So it, for you, it feels like, it lines up. I get why he's in this space. And then he was in a vulnerable space where temptation hit.
TM. Trademark.
Exactly. With a little TM by there. For myself, if I chose to stay in a relationship with Evan, if I was in this exact situation, I think one of the biggest things for me would be to hone in on that rock bottom that you were talking about and be like, okay, you're saying that you fell into temptation and you succumbed to it because you're in this rock bottom place. So what are your plans on getting out of this place? Like from a practical perspective, I'd be like, can you give me,
because it's got a nice ring to it. Sorry I cheated on you, I hit rock bottom. It's got like, well, you make me feel bad about being rock bottom, you know what I mean? It's got like a nice kind of bed to that.
Or you say you've hit rock bottom, can you describe that for me?
Yeah, I'll show you rock bottom.
What does that mean?
Yes. What does rock bottom mean?
How can I support you on your climb back up? And a little bit less of, push back a little bit,
please,
on what's your plan to get out of here, because that puts it back on, hey, what are you gonna do? But same sentiment is, what tools can we find for you? What tools can we find for you?
Sounds so much more supportive.
Well, but it's interesting. But I do kind of have a little bit of like, well, find your own fucking tools. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying that's the like,
yeah.
I get cheated on, and now I got to help you find tools.
Or you can
go in the back.
I think that's fair.
Open up your own chest. Figure that shit out. Last time I checked, me not leaving you is the gift, or whatever. You know,
that's fair.
It'd be really hard not to like.
That's fair.
Like,
it
not
could
all of us are that elevated.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. I think it's a lofty aspiration. I think, but what you can say is, all right, tell me what rock bottom feels like.
Sure. Yeah.
And what tools are you using to get back?
Right.
Or are you comfortable at rock bottom?
Yeah.
Because if you're comfortable at rock bottom, I'm out.
Right.
That's very,
if you want to climb the mountain, there's lots of ways to get there.
Are you comfortable at rock bottom?
Because that's a big thing with me is comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not comfort in the sense of like the quilt or anything like that, but like as opposed to complacence.
Yeah.
Comfort equals complacence, or just I gave up.
Oh, you're not going anywhere kind of thing, Yeah, totally.
I'm just going to watch this show and sit in this chair and hope you don't say anything until we go to bed. And then in the morning, hopefully you won't say anything and I won't say anything. And then I'll go to the office.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable at rock bottom? Really hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or, the question Robbie asks is, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
So you told me how you feel. And what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Are you happy with that? Is it working for you?
Right.
You don't have to have it, is what she's basically saying. You don't have to have that feeling. Thanks for sharing that feeling. Are you listening to your thoughts? Are you giving it power?
Yeah.
Are you sitting idle and hoping the world will validate you outside so you feel better? Or are you looking in the shed and seeing what tools I've got, and a little meditation, a little bit of journaling, a little bit of therapy, the whole cocktail.
What are your thoughts for this listener then, if she's choosing to stay with her partner, interacting with this quote unquote friend, because I know, dear listener, you didn't include that in your question in the end, but I'm processing that the whole time as well, because I know obviously this is between you and your partner, and we never want to like get it lost on, you know, the other person. But I'm curious then.
You may want to get complete with her.
Yeah.
Because that was, from your telling of it, it was a very manipulative, subversive, and it was a covert operation.
Yeah.
Where you were the patsy in this. And you get to complete on it if it serves you. If it's simply to punish her, neither one of you are going to walk away from that feeling pretty good. But if there's a completion for you to say, yeah, okay, so this happened, here's how I feel about it, here's where we are.
Yeah.
And then that book's closed.
Yeah.
What she did was deplorable. In the worst way, because let me watch your kids. It's like all those fucking movies. It's like, if the kids will love me, then maybe he'll just transition over, whatever.
Yes.
It's all the bad movies.
This person's unwell, clearly.
It's one thing that like he met the beautiful woman at the bar and it was just this moment.
Yeah.
It's another to be like infiltrate your family, use
under the
your
guise of
dress like you.
Yeah, and use your insecurities and your issues and to like create an argument to then make him. It's like, bro,
even
that
worse.
is as
share
dark.
with me what your insecurities
And
are,
I'll
because I'm your
use it,
buddy.
and I'll be the opposite of that to him when you're not around.
Boy,
I mean,
it must
that
be
is
really tough living with her feeling this way.
Oh, that is dark.
That's dark.
It's so violating. But I love what you said, Mark, is if it serves you. So
Well,
it's
that's-
like, if it's going to be, for the listener, if it's like, if this is going to just be more torturous to you, then you don't have to complete. But if you're gonna, I like how you say complete too, because where I go scorched earth, I'm like, oh, complete's better because it's like, this is actually a healthy.
I'm like, invite her over for dinner, lock the door behind her, and then it's a full blown mob movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Stab her with the hand, just like in the.
I know what you did.
Yeah,
You
flick
know-
the lights on.
Yeah, exactly.
Cigarette.
One of the things I'm talking about is if it serves you,
Yeah.
works on two sides. The confronting it so that you got it out of your head, you said what you need to say, can serve you. And forgiveness, when we forgive people, we don't forgive them for them. We forgive them for us so that we don't have that file open. Right? And that's how, when you see it in really horrible, traumatic, or whatever, it's like, wow, what?
Yeah.
But there is, I've read, and there can be some relief for that person by forgiving others. I said it to somebody about their father. You get to forgive him, not for him, but for you.
Yeah.
So you can spend less time with the story of your father and what he's done wrong.
Yeah, it's not an owing to him,
Yeah.
it's an owing to yourself.
You know, phrase that recently came up for me is that this is all our first time. My head exploded.
I love
But
that.
it's all our first time, including your parents. It was their first time.
Yeah.
So there is some peace in saying, yeah, you sucked at this, but I forgive you. And I can move on. You know, you don't even have to accept the forgiveness.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also the other side of completion is there are things I need to say. You need to know. And I'll feel better having not bottled it up.
Yeah.
You know, whether you receive it or not is not part of that. Now, if it's conditional, I need you to cry. I need you to feel pain. That's not healthy. But if getting it out of your soul verbally, you know, serves you, and it can, and it should, then do that, you know?
Mark, will you come and be in all of our voicemails, because I could use you.
I think at
and
this
I'm
point,
sure our dear listeners would.
I would, I'm actually thinking I could put a cot in here.
Yeah, why don't you
I'm down.
just
Let's work this
Why
out.
don't you set up? And by the way, to the last caller, sending so much love to you. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Again, that's such a
To
wild.
both of the callers,
Yes.
you're living a hell.
Yes.
And it's not your fault. And you don't deserve it. And it happened. And your feelings are valid. And all of your instincts, one is not worse or better than the other. And the best you can force yourself to say, because you won't be able to believe it, force yourself to say is that this is not my fault. I didn't do this. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got pretty choked up by the first caller and pretty moved by the second caller. So by the way, thank you, because this brings up, it stirs me up and I start thinking I get to grow from this too.
Yeah.
So thanks. I love hanging out with you guys.
it's the best.
I
we
feel
love
very honored.
you, Mark. We love you so much, and I
Yeah,
know
Appreciate you.
I feel like I fangirl every time I'm around you, but you just Evan, the second we left you the last time during when we were filmed your podcast, Evan and I, like we got in the car, and you know what? We went straight to a date. We went straight, and we weren't going to. We were going to go work, but because your conversation inspired us, we were like, you know what? Screw this. We can push this. We're going to go on a lunch date and talk about what we talked with Mark about.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Now I just want to go do something nice for my wife now.
Well, you're going to go watch the
already-
finale of Handmaid's Tale.
That's true love.
That is.
I tell you this, Handmaid's Tale. She and I, because when we were taping Temptation Island during COVID.
Yes.
They locked us in our hotel room for a week. You couldn't leave the hotel room. Full disclosure, our hotel room was 1,400 square feet. We never wanted to leave.
Well, wow, you're like, yeah,
beach.
we're good. We're
no,
good.
this was just fine. They bring you food 3 times a day. It was idyllic.
gosh.
But
In Handmaid's
because you
Tale.
couldn't go out, you weren't missing anything in Hawaii. And we literally, in the middle of the afternoon, would watch 5 episodes of Handmaid's Tale, and just our head would explode. We're looking at each other, like, go, let's watch another. So,
The show's
Yeah,
incredible.
epic.
We won't, hitting too close to home these days, but an incredible show.
Yeah.
And we won't keep you from
Yes.
Sweet Robbie any longer.
she's vowed to me not to watch without me. So it's
That
This
is
is
true
the
love.
true
That's
temptation.
true love. Well, family, please check. We cannot wait, hopefully, to see you on our screens again soon, whether that be Dancing with the Stars, whether that
Stop
be
it.
Another season of Temptation Island.
I
whatever
will
that
tell
may
you,
be.
your listeners, that you will get another season of Temptation Island. That's official.
Wow.
I'm so
We're
excited.
they're casting now.
Yes.
They're locking down the villas, and I think we'll be shooting in the fall. And I can't tell you when it's going to air because Netflix does what they do.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited,
Yeah,
Mark.
I think, it'll be great. I think Netflix does an incredible job of taking our show that had the nuts and bolts that obviously
Yes.
was riveting and really putting us in a platform that matters. And I've never felt more supported.
Oh, I'd love to hear
amazing.
that.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Show and you as it deserves all the spotlight. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
were
the show's
so we're
incredible.
Yeah,
excited
and the
for
fans,
season 2.
and the comments, I adore them. And because, as we've discussed, I get all my validation from outside sources. So thank you.
So keep it coming.
Yeah.
Keep it
because
coming.
As soon as it's gone, I'm in a hole.
Send all the love to Mark. So Mark, your Instagram,
I think it's Mark L. Wahlberg.
we'll put it in the episode notes.
No
and then-
H.
No H.
I really don't know. You'd have
Always
to look
no
it up.
H. And then also your podcast. Everybody needs to check that out.
At Bonfire Talks Podcast.
And
on
we
all
will
the places.
we'll have all the links to everything in the
Thanks.
episode notes and the YouTube and all of that. Mark, we love you.
Love you more. I love you both more. I literally, this is just delicious to me, and I'm honored when you ask me. It's an honor.
It makes me so happy. All right, family, if you haven't watched Temptation Island, what are you doing? Go watch it right now. Check out his podcast. Family, we'll see you on Friday.
Yes.
Friday.
Bye. Love you.